Hello. Today I decided to feature the last, at least for a very long time, Baltimore commentary. I have moved on to the Des Moines, well actually unlocked my Des Moines on my lower tier account, but whatever, I'll get into that in a bit. I decided to choose as the final Baltimore commentary this horrible game, or well, horrible matchmaking. There's a carrier, there's 3 Montanas, 2 Amagis, aka cruiser destroyers, all of them, 5 battleships, there's a Neptune and Kutuzov, and the rest are DDs. And it's on Ocean. And of course, as you know, on my Baltimore, I don't use the range perk or the range module, I use the reload module because I think it's stronger. So this is the worst possible matchmaking you can imagine, not only as a cruiser without a smoke, but as a short range US cruiser, the Baltimore. So the first thing I do is I decide to use my great concealment and back up my DEDs all the way into B. Because if we're gonna win this, I need to have as big of an impact with my radar as possible and hopefully get us to secure some caps and turn it into a victory that way. And of course I want to be able to use my friendly DD smoke, because once again 3 Montanas, 2 Amagis, plus the Kutuzov and Neptune, that's a lot of stuff that can just wreck me. Torps, once again, not an issue really, able to dodge them quite easily. It's a very maneuverable ship in general, the Baltimore. I quite like it, especially when you're moving towards something. It's quite easy to torpedo beat in it. The problems of course stem from when you're standing still, which is something I kind of have to do here because I can't really move out anywhere. It's open space, there's carrier planes everywhere, there's DDs everywhere, and there's the battleships on every flank. Like, look at the minimap. I have on my right I have Amagi and Montana, or well, in front of me, and then down south there's another 2 Montanas and an Amagi. So very, very rough matchmaking. Well, first thing I do, of course, help cap secure and cap 2. I provide some AA cover from my DD buddies, and of course gunpowder, and most importantly of all, my radar got us the first DD kill and secured us the B cap. Now though, I don't really know when the smoke is going to run out, so it's kinda playing with fire here, sitting as long as I am in this fire. Sitting in this smoke even. The smoke's puffing up all over the place. Sadly my radar is running out and the smoke is fading. So, time to speed up. I'm gonna do the risky turn to the right. I don't dare to turn to the left at this point. There's so much stuff in the smokes that I can't see, and these guys have guns aimed towards me, so I'd rather turn to safety this way. Hopefully the guys down south are so preoccupied with everything else that they won't have time to nail me. Of course, as soon as I'm spotted, you see shells starting to rain from everywhere. Oh god, there's Amagi, Montana, 2 Montanas, both within 13 kilometers. Yep, definitely time to bail, turn away and flee. Of course, try to get some fires going on the Montanas. As I sail away, I'm spotted anyway, so might as well try to deal some damage and hopefully get rid of these, since these are of course a huge terror to any cruiser. Popping my heal, and well, only 1 fire, not worth repairing it. Oh, hello Fletcher. DD's randomly being spotted. I guess the Kagero spotted them. Nice, managed to reset the cap, always good. Delaying them from getting any points is always in our favor. And of course, in general, my primary target here by far is shooting the DDs. We only have 2 cruisers, and I'm a radar cruiser, so I'm just going to be focusing heavily on these DDs, because that way I feel I can have the biggest impact. Actually, killing a Montana is going to take me so long unless I have like a really god tier fire RNG, and even then it's going to be sketchy at best. The issue of course is, well, that ship is already sailing out of range. I don't simply have enough range to constantly hammer them if they decide to disengage. Another few volleys. Looks like they managed to push them out of the cap, which is fantastic. And I'm far enough away from the enemy battleships to dare to go for the turn. It's fairly even though. I mean, are they gonna get this cap? Yeah, they managed to secure the cap. So we're 1-1 in caps and we have 1 ship advantage. So overall, very close. Now, I chose this game because, well, usually whenever I show Baltimore games, I always get complaints about Well, whenever I show any Baltimore games or I dare to even say that I enjoy the ship, I always get complaints about, oh, you chose this because you have this and this matchmaking and this and that and this and this. And honestly, I chose this one because how the hell is... I'm looking forward to seeing how some commenters are gonna make up that this was somehow in my advantage, because anyone who has played a cruiser knows that Ocean against T10 battleships is a goddamn nightmare, and the more DDs and a carrier means no possibility of being unspotted for any extended time at all. So this is really one of the hardest things. I'm asking this Montana, who was shit talking our midway, why is he sitting that far back? He was calling out the midway on his stats or something and said this is a lost game already. So I'm asking him why he's sitting that far back, just to needle him a bit. Warning Raikesan, the Fletcher in front of me that I'm about to radar. Managed to spot the Fletcher that was trying to contest, and of course it's always good to make your DD aware of what's happening. Now he's of course hammering and putting extra DPS into that Fletcher. Now, as I was saying, this is going to be my last Baltimore commentary for a while, because even though I enjoyed this ship, I have in fact farmed my daily wins with it pretty regularly, especially during double XP weekends. So after 40 games I have actually unlocked the Des Moines on El Gringo. So now I actually have a Des Moines on 2 accounts, which is a bit silly, but because I've seen the Des Moines get a lot of flack lately, like people have been talking about how weak and how bad it is, which I find ridiculous because I consider Des Moines insanely strong and a very, very strong T10 cruiser. So I'm going to be making a bunch of Des Moines commentaries in the future. I already have a bunch of footage farmed up, but I'm going to make a lot of them because for some reason people think that ship is weak, and trust me when I say that ship is anything but weak. So hopefully I can change some minds regarding that thing. In fact, the recent patches with the inclusion of Royal Navy has simply made the Des Moines stronger. Oh, hello, Neptune. Instantly switched to AP, of course, after firing my volley. If you didn't notice, I popped my defensive AA there just to shoot down a few of the planes going past me, but midway planes, not really shooting down too many. I got 5 of them, which, I mean, I guess anything helps. Hopefully at some point that guy will run out of planes. Well, it looks like they killed him, so I guess it doesn't matter. I did get 1 volley off and instant 3 citadels on that Neptune. So that Neptune is definitively hurting. I shot just before it disappeared into stealth, so that was very good. Now, however, Fletcher smoke is fading, so I switch from reversing to full speed. Oh god, that's a lot of targets. Once again, I'm gonna see if I can get some fires going on this Montana as I'm turning away. As you can see, I'm not really focusing on the battleships because my damage is not really that well used on the battleships. I mean, 96,000 damage in a Baltimore. The one thing the Baltimore really doesn't have is that much DPM. So I'd rather go for the enemy cruisers and enemy DDs, the things that I can really have a big impact on damaging. I'd rather go for those instead of wasting time and effort trying to damage the battleships. Of course, another thing is that I try to survive as long as possible. The less ships there are around, the stronger a cruiser becomes, because the less chances of being deleted by a sudden citadel volley. And of course, the longer I survive, the better, not only providing anti-air for my buddies, but also the more radars I get to use, which will of course help my team significantly in dealing with the enemy destroyers. So one of your goals, especially, well, not in pretty much every game, should be trying to survive as long as possible in the cruiser. Of course, that doesn't mean you should sit back and be useless, but you shouldn't be reckless. Never be reckless in a cruiser, because it's so very easy to quickly end your life as a cruiser. And of course, if you play a especially important role, for example, radar and defensive AA, like I am here, then you should especially try to survive as long as possible, because the threat of that radar is such a huge deal. It forces also Royal Navy cruisers to be extremely careful with how close they push, because the risk of you suddenly popping radar is there, and it's very significant. Neptune's smoke ran out, so I'm turning towards him now. I think it's a bit too late to start turning out, and I feel like going a bit aggressive after playing, well, fairly carefully for a long time. They are also quite down on ships, and the odds of losing this is fairly low. I give a bit too much broadside here. Of course, one of the key things when fighting Royal Navy cruiser is to keep angled, and I kind of overturned a bit there because I was afraid of this Amagi popping up on the minimap, but I managed to correct myself in time, and I should be able to finish this guy. He's slowing down. That might be smoke coming up, but it doesn't matter since I have radar. Oh, and it doesn't matter since I citadeled him. And that's kind of what I mean. That's just how hard you destroy Royal Navy cruisers, and it's even nastier on the Des Moines. Amagi, might as well stick to AP. He's so low. I should be able to finish him. That volley though. Ow, and he got a 15k volley through the nose. Well, it superstructure mostly. He hit a lot of superstructure and got some really funky penetrations, and the Kutuzov finished me off. Regardless, the impact I had, they only have 2 ships left, and the game ended soon after. And looking at the score, well, first of all, nice chunk of credits and XP, 133,000 damage on an ocean game. And looking at the scoreboard, managed to top the score as a Baltimore on ocean. Follow-ups are Kageros, Montanas. I mean, looking at the matchmaking with all these Montanas around, all these DDs and the T10 carriers, I consider this a very satisfying game in the Baltimore. Oh, that's a Montana that was shit-talking our midway. I think it's pretty amusing that he ended up last of all our pencil ships. And damage-wise, well, damage upon your spotting, 50,000. That's pretty much only DDs. And of course, potential damage, 1.5 million. Anyway, the next US cruiser commentary you'll be seeing from me will be the Des Moines.